Exploring the life and messages of Ezekiel. Hi everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we are diving deep into the life of Ezekiel, the prophet known for his message during exile and his promise of hope. His story is filled with visions and lessons that continue to resonate with us today. Stay tuned as we explore his journey, break down his powerful messages, and uncover the meanings behind his dramatic actions. In the ancient world of the Bible, life was not always easy. Ezekiel lived during a time of great suffering when the Babylonian Empire conquered Jerusalem. Many people were forced to leave their homes, families, and traditions behind. This period, known as the Babylonian Exile, was a time of deep loss and confusion. The people felt as though they had been abandoned, left to wander in a foreign land. It is in this backdrop of despair that Ezekiel's story unfolds, a story of harsh reality intertwined with the promise of renewal and hope. Ezekiel's journey begins on the banks of the Chebar River, as recorded in Ezekiel chapter 1, verses 1 to 3. At the age of 30, he witnessed a vision that would change his life forever. In this vision, he saw dazzling light, strange creatures, and wheels that moved in all directions. The imagery is vivid and mysterious. Instead of using familiar language, God chose to reveal himself through symbols that went far beyond what anyone had seen before. These symbols were meant to show that God's power and presence could not be confined by human limits. Even though the images were confusing at first, they carried a profound message. God is active, unstoppable, and present in every moment of our lives. The vision that Ezekiel received was not just a personal experience. It was a call to serve as a messenger of hope in a time of despair. His calling was dramatic and intense, setting the stage for the rest of his prophetic ministry. In that vision, the living creatures he saw, each with multiple faces, were not random images. They represented the many aspects of God's character and the dynamic nature of his presence. The wheels that accompanied these creatures were full of motion and light, symbolizing that God's work is constant and all-encompassing. Every detail of this vision was designed to remind the people that even in chaos, there is divine order, and nothing is beyond God's control. After this initial vision, Ezekiel's messages became even more symbolic and dramatic. One of the most well-known episodes in his ministry is recorded in Ezekiel 37, where he is shown a valley filled with dry bones. At first glance, these bones were lifeless remnants scattered on the ground. They represented the people of Israel in their state of exile, broken, hopeless, and seemingly beyond repair. Yet God asked Ezekiel to prophesy to these bones, to speak words of life over them. As Ezekiel obeyed, something miraculous happened. The bones began to come together. Sinews, flesh, and skin formed until the once scattered remains stood as a mighty army. This vision was not just about physical resurrection. It was a powerful metaphor for renewal. It told the people that no matter how bleak or dead their situation might seem, God could breathe life back into their hearts and restore them to wholeness. Ezekiel's use of symbolism extended beyond visions. In another dramatic act recorded in Ezekiel 4, the prophet physically acted out the consequences of the people's sin. He lay on his side for many days to represent the years of punishment that the people would endure. This performance was not done for show. It was a stark reminder of the serious consequences of disobedience and a call for repentance. By embodying these messages, Ezekiel made sure that his audience could not ignore the gravity of their situation. His life became a living sermon, urging his people to turn away from their destructive paths and seek the renewal that only God could provide. The message of renewal in Ezekiel's ministry is further emphasized in passages like Ezekiel chapter 36, verses 26 to 27. In these verses, God promises to give his people a new heart and a new spirit. This promise is profound because it speaks to transformation that starts from within. It is not enough to change external circumstances. Real renewal happens in the depths of one's being. God's promise here is that when we allow him to work in our hearts, we can leave behind our old ways and embrace a life of purpose, guided by his Spirit. This internal change is what makes external restoration possible, whether it is in a nation, a community, or an individual life. Throughout his ministry, Ezekiel also emphasized personal responsibility. In Ezekiel 33, he explains that every individual is accountable for their own actions. This chapter challenges each person to reflect on their own life and to understand that change begins with taking responsibility for one's mistakes. It is a reminder that even though we may feel overwhelmed by our circumstances, we have the power to change our course. Ezekiel's insistence on accountability is a call for self-examination and a push towards personal transformation. It is a message that is as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. The promise of restoration does not end with personal renewal. In Ezekiel 39, we see a vision of national restoration, a picture of a people brought back to life and returned to their land. This vision of a restored Israel is both physical and spiritual. It reminds the exiled nation that God has not forgotten them and that a time of healing and wholeness is ahead. For those watching today, it is a reminder that no matter how fractured or distant we feel from our true selves or our communities, there is always hope for restoration. God's promise is not limited by the failures of the past. It reaches forward into a future filled with potential. Ezekiel's story is not merely an account of strange visions and dramatic acts. It is a call to look at our own lives and see the potential for transformation. Many of us have experienced moments when our lives feel as scattered and lifeless as the dry bones in the valley. We have felt isolated, lost, and overwhelmed by our circumstances. Yet Ezekiel's message is clear. Even in our darkest moments, there is a spark of hope waiting to be ignited. His story encourages us to listen for that spark, to trust that renewal is possible, and to take the necessary steps to rebuild our lives from the inside out. The prophet's actions remind us that transformation is not a passive process. Change requires deliberate steps, the courage to face our shortcomings, and the willingness to embrace new ways of thinking and living. When Ezekiel performed his symbolic acts, he was not simply telling a story. He was demonstrating that renewal is an active process. His life was a series of lessons on how to turn despair into hope by confronting the pain of the past and daring to believe in a better future. As we reflect on Ezekiel's journey, it is important to consider how his messages apply to our world today. In modern times, many of us feel a sense of exile, not in the form of physical displacement, but through feelings of isolation, disconnection, or even depression. The challenges we face may be different in nature, but the underlying struggle is the same, a deep yearning for hope and renewal. Ezekiel's life teaches us that no matter how far we feel from a state of wholeness, God's promise of a new heart and a renewed spirit is always available. His call to account for our actions and embrace change resonates in every era, reminding us that renewal is an ongoing process. Imagine for a moment the power of these messages in your own life. Consider a time when everything seemed lost, when you felt like you were wandering through a valley of dry bones, devoid of energy or hope. Ezekiel's vision tells you that this state of being is not the final chapter. Instead, it is an invitation to listen deeply, to reflect on the lessons hidden within the hardships, and to take action towards rebuilding and restoring what was once lost. His story is a vivid reminder that every end carries with it the seed of a new beginning. Throughout his ministry, Ezekiel's dramatic style and powerful imagery were meant to shock his audience out of complacency. His visions, filled with moving wheels and mysterious creatures, were designed to capture attention and provoke deep reflection. They challenged the people to look beyond their immediate pain and to see the larger picture of divine order and purpose. When God spoke through Ezekiel, he invited everyone to step outside of their limited perspectives and embrace a vision of hope that transcended present difficulties. It is this timeless quality of Ezekiel's message that makes it so compelling. His story is not confined to the pages of ancient texts. It lives on in every individual who has ever felt abandoned, broken, or overwhelmed by life's challenges. The promise of a renewed heart and a revived spirit is a call that echoes across the ages, urging us to see that no matter how dire the situation, transformation is within our reach. His life shows that by acknowledging our pain, listening for divine guidance and taking bold, deliberate steps toward change, we can rise from even the most hopeless circumstances. The lessons we learn from Ezekiel are deeply personal and communal at the same time. His call for accountability reminds each of us that we have a role to play in our own transformation. When we accept responsibility for our actions and embrace the need for change, we open ourselves up to the possibility of renewal. At the same time, his vision of national restoration speaks to the importance of community. Just as the exiled nation of Israel was promised a return to wholeness, our collective efforts can bring healing and unity to our communities. The idea that personal growth can contribute to the betterment of society is a powerful message that encourages us to care not only for ourselves, but for each other. As we draw closer to the end of our exploration of Ezekiel's life, it is important to recognize that his message is one of active faith. His journey shows that hope is not a passive waiting for better times. It is a call to action. Change requires courage, persistence, and the willingness to face uncomfortable truths. Ezekiel's dramatic symbols and his bold actions challenge us to look at our lives with honest eyes. They remind us that transformation is a process that involves both reflection and decisive steps. His example encourages us to move forward even when the path is unclear, trusting that renewal will follow if we remain steadfast in our commitment to change. The story of Ezekiel, with its powerful images of moving wheels, dry bones coming back to life, and promises of a new heart, offers us a vivid reminder of the potential for change. It tells us that no matter how difficult our circumstances, there is always a way to rebuild, to restore, and to begin again. His life is a testament to the enduring hope that can rise from the depths of despair, and his messages invite us to join in the work of renewal in our own lives. Thank you for joining me on this in-depth journey through the life and teachings of Ezekiel, the prophet of exile and hope. I hope you have found new insights and inspiration in his dramatic visions and powerful messages. Take a moment now to reflect on your own journey. Consider the areas of your life that feel like they have been left behind or lost, much like the scattered bones in Ezekiel's vision. Allow his words to remind you that renewal is always possible, and that a new heart and a fresh start are within your reach if you are willing to take that first step. If this exploration has touched you, I invite you to share your thoughts and personal reflections in the comments below. Tell me which part of Ezekiel's story resonates with you the most, and how you plan to apply his lessons of renewal and responsibility in your own life. Your experiences might just be the spark of hope someone else needs to hear today. Before you go, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Click the bell icon to get notified when new videos are posted. By subscribing, you become part of a community that values honest reflection, active transformation, and the timeless lessons of faith. We are all on a journey toward renewal, and together we can support each other through life's challenges. Thank you for watching this video on Ezekiel, the prophet of exile and hope. Remember, no matter how desolate things may seem, there is always the possibility of a new beginning. Let the story of Ezekiel inspire you to take action, to seek renewal in every part of your life, and to trust that even in exile, hope finds a way. I look forward to seeing you in our next video, where we continue to explore the powerful lessons hidden in these ancient texts and how they apply to our modern world. Stay hopeful, keep seeking change, and never forget that every ending is simply the start of something new. Thanks for watching.